POCO's X6, is it what we call the sweet spot of 2024's mid-rangers? And will we find enough hidden gems to truly like this phone? Sounds like we have a lot to talk about, so let's inspect. So this is the POCO X6, and please excuse me about the not so great look of the backside. I promise I wiped it just a few seconds ago, and it looks like in order to keep it in mint condition, you have to carry a microfiber cloth with you all the time. So X6 by POCO, something that got released a few weeks ago, and it's very interesting because of certain decisions that POCO made about this smartphone. First of all, they promise rather good performance. It can record videos in 4K resolution, which suggests pretty good performance of the chipset, but also there might be some decisions, especially about the design, which can be a little weird. So this episode is about a thorough inspection about POCO X6 in order to find out whether that's a good fit for you. The price is good. Starting at $250 might be a breath of fresh air, especially if you prefer to focus on good value. This phone is a bit cheaper than the Pro sibling and costs about $50 more than the M6 Pro, so it's gonna compete against devices such as Galaxy A55 and some Realme or maybe OnePlus Nord 2024 phones. And you know what? The hardware changes inside this POCO phone make me very excited about what's coming next from the smartphone world. The retail pack provided by POCO is almost identical to what we got with the X6 Pro and the M6 Pro. Similar colors, almost the same size of the box, same content. The new style of POCO's cases, a very welcomed change indeed. Here's the phone, and this one also has aggressively big camera bumps. Design and shape look more like the M6 Pro as opposed to the X6 Pro. Saying this just in case you care, I don't see why though. I bet the availability of a stereo jack is a welcomed feature by many of you. A memory card slot is missing, though there are only space for 2 nano SIM cards. The backside of the phone, especially when staying inside the case, reminds me of Mi 11 Ultra, and keep in mind that the case bump is very significant as well. Concerning the specs, an octa-core CPU, which is part of the Snapdragon 7S Generation 2, generous amounts of RAM and storage, quite impressive display with even more impressive Gorilla Glass Victus protection, Dolby Vision certification, a 64-megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization, a 5100 mAh battery with turbocharging, in-display fingerprint scanner, IP54 splash protection, and it is among the POCO phones that will very soon get the new HyperOS. The specs are really solid and also quite interesting. First of all, in terms of look and design, this smartphone reminds a lot of the Redmi Note 13 Pro launched in China a little earlier. Major difference is that over here, the main camera is a 64-megapixel shooter as opposed to the 200-megapixel shooter which is implemented with the Redmi device. Something else is the most intriguing fact, however, and that would be the system on a chip inside, because it's one of the first smartphones arriving with Snapdragon 7S Generation 2, and I believe S here stands for Samsung, which could be good and bad news at the same time. Bad news because Samsung got their reputation about manufacturing SoCs which very often experience throttling issue, understand overheating, therefore decreased performance over time when fully loaded at 100%. I'm happy to say that sustained performance of the POCO X6 has been very consistent. Inside we count on an octa-core processor built on a 4nm process, meaning that we expect good performance and at the same time fairly good battery optimizations, and in the end of the day, that's a Snapdragon, therefore we should expect good gaming performance plus pretty solid AI, and obviously we already have high expectations about the camera performance. As it looks like, it is kind of what we hoped for. POCO promised sensational photos. No surprise that photography capacity of this phone is fantastic in daytime. Sharp, nicely saturated, with many details, the camera is as good as expected. You may recall videos with resolution of up to 4K. This is indeed nice, especially when we know that it's gonna be stabilized with OIS and EIS both. If we switch to dark mode, here understand low light environment, then the results are less consistent and less impressive. The photos are in no way bad, they simply are not exciting or alive, but in most cases these snaps are perfectly usable for social media and non-professional purposes. And sure, the smartphone camera app has the famous Pro mode, which lets you do quite advanced tuning and get quite creative at the same time. The ultra-wide camera is acceptable, it's gonna deliver good quality when conditions are perfect, but will struggle in most cases when the day is not bright enough or you're indoors. It definitely is not the right one to use for night photography. As for the 2-megapixel macro camera, I continue to believe that we need more megapixels for this one. Some of the competitive brands already prefer to give priority to the main camera or the ultra-wide camera for close-ups. It would be great to see POCO doing the same with their next year's lineup. When it comes to the overall performance, we can rate it differently depending on the point of view. If we compare against the tech trends in 2024, we should mention the use of DDR4X RAM as opposed to DDR5, which backs most of the powerful smartphones this year. We notice the UFS 2.2, which is as well a little outdated, and the CPU core architecture, which is not pointing to some of the latest technology trends. The system on a chip is not much better than Snapdragon 6 Generation 1. When it comes to more intensive gaming, I was unable to go beyond 60 frames per second for Call of Duty, but even at 60p, the game runs smoothly and lets you have a lot of fun. Somewhat better is the situation with Rio Racing 3. After using POCO's dedicated gaming mode and enabling the boost option, I was able to get 70 and above FPS. However, at no point of time I managed to reach the sweet spot of 120. And despite my concerns about sustained performance and overheating, this Snapdragon 7S Generation 2 was quite alright. Furthermore, if we talk about the gaming aspect, I believe the visual experience is super important, and this is the right moment to say that I haven't seen a better performing display at this price segment. It is indeed wonderful. Excellent colors, superb brightness levels, great viewing angles. If someone has equipped a flagship with this device a year or two ago, this was about to be very well perceived. An in-display fingerprint sensor is present as well, plus proper protection by Gorilla Glass Victus. Concerning the rest of the pack, battery life is decent. POCO X6 is clearly not among the champions in this segment, but having a 5100 mAh battery is a bonus, so is the very fast charging ability. Screen on-time results are sometimes fascinating, but remember that the peak brightness setting is going to consume really a lot. If you seek for decent connectivity, some of the components are good, such as the modem, strong reception, the Wi-Fi connectivity is also stable, excellent speeds, nothing too fancy though, because Wi-Fi 6 and 7 are not part of the feature set. There's an infrared blaster for using this phone as a remote, there's NFC, and there's a headphone jack. For music, you can also use the internal speakers, which I was very pleasantly surprised by. The software is quite an interesting topic though. At launch, it is MIUI with Android 13. As soon as HyperOS arrives, it's gonna be Android 14, and POCO are finally committing to longer software support timelines, 3 major updates, 4 years of security patches. Sounds perfect. Means that you can buy this smartphone right now, and it's gonna serve you well and will be having proper software support until 2028 at least. This Android Touch by Xiaomi is amazing. Very colorful, highly customizable, functional. It has a number of unique features, such as the ability to change the arrangement of the Recents menu, to show the network speed in real time, apply various themes, change fonts, colors, and so on, things that you won't find with stock Android or the modifications released by other vendors. At the same time, MIUI and HyperOS have their critics, because Xiaomi are now more than ever trying to push you towards their own ecosystem, and besides the bloatware, there are some very annoying apps which cannot be uninstalled, like the security scanner. Plus, you may see annoying ads from time to time, during the installation of a new app, for instance. Good news is that the community is now more vocal than ever about such things, and it definitely has an impact. just notice the twice longer software support timeframe which is in place already. If you seek for perfection even further, you may certainly want to change a thing or two about the phone. It would be fantastic to get rid of the bloatware, to add wireless charging, to upgrade the selfie camera, and maybe optimize the system on a chip for better performance and battery consumption. As it turns out, X6 by POCO is a very solid 2024 smartphone providing excellent hardware specs, especially at the given price point, and as it turns out, Snapdragon 7S Generation 2 is not as incapable and not as overheating as some people have expected, quite the opposite. Very solid, smooth performance with very rare thermal issues. Therefore, I can easily recommend the POCO X6 as being a reliable choice, and if you're wondering whether that's a meaningful upgrade over last year's X5 generation, I would say yes, mostly because of the prolonged support period in terms of software, because you get 3 major Android updates plus at least 4 years of security patches. And this is where I'm gonna stop and give the chance you to express your opinion in the comment section below the video. Let me know, how do you like the POCO X6? Do you think it's a better value smartphone than the X6 Pro or the M6 Pro series? And do you think there's a better alternative at the very same price point? Comments are down below the video. Under the video you're gonna find also the description area where, in case you want to buy the smartphone, I'm gonna post a link and you can find some ways to support my work here on the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, you know how to reward me, and subscribe for more cool tech inspections. I'm Michael and wish you a fantastic day. Bye.